Hereditary Creativity and Curses, and A Royally Non-Royal Life. Princess Margaret's two children, Antony and Sarah, lead a life of excitement despite the drama. Princess Margaret has long been known as the original wild child of the royal family, especially when you consider her affair with Peter Townsend. Following the affair, Margaret settled down with her photographer husband, Antony Armstrong Jones. It was with Antony that Margaret had two children, David and Sarah Armstrong Jones. Despite being 5th and 7th in line for the throne at the time of their births, both David and Sarah have taken a page out of their mother's book and built lives for themselves outside of the royal spotlight.
So nice when a man is unaware of his best features.
It's so sad when a lady hides hers.
Though their romance turned sour in the later years of their marriage, Princess Margaret and her new husband happily welcomed their first child, a boy, on November 3rd, 1961. Their first and only son, David Albert Charles Armstrong Jones, was born in the royal residence of Clarence House and was christened in the music room at Buckingham Palace. Despite their difference in rank, he counted Queen Elizabeth's 4 children, Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward, among some of his closest childhood friends. According to the Manchester Evening News, David often travelled with his cousins on family holidays, and even took music lessons with Prince Andrew starting when he was 5 years old. Queen Elizabeth was also named as David's godmother. At his birth, David was 5th in line for the throne. But now, many a royal baby later, he is only 24th in line. 3 years after welcoming David, Princess Margaret's only daughter and the Queen's only niece, Lady Sarah Frances Elizabeth, was born on May 1st, 1964. Following in her brother's footsteps, Sarah also led a charmed life, growing up in Kensington Palace, surrounded by her parents, her older brother, and a crew of royal cousins. However, things weren't always perfect, especially when it came to Margaret and Antony. During Sarah's childhood, serious cracks began to show in Margaret and Antony's marriage. The two divorced when their daughter Sarah was only 13 years old. Perhaps luckily for the young royal, Sarah wasn't spending much time at Kensington Palace. During her teenage years, Lady Sarah joined her brother David at Bedales boarding school in Hampshire, which Vanity Fair called, quote, Britain's artsiest private school. Later in life, David would tell the magazine, Bedales was perfect for my sister and me. Very open, very few rules, no uniforms, co-educational, and very little of, you have to do this like this. You very much controlled your education. Princess Margaret was said to have been a very hands-on mother, especially when it came to educating her children on art and culture, according to Women's Health. In several interviews following her death in 2002, David remembers his mother as a passionate lover of art, who would often take him and his sister on antiquing trips and visits to the National Gallery, telling Alan Elkin in a 2018 interview, I loved being around my mother. In the house were very interesting people from all walks of life. There was creativity and music, she played the piano by ear, and at Christmas, she held the sacred and profane buffet, and people would play. In another interview with Vanity Fair, David recounts a story where his mother and grandmother, the Queen Mother, took him to the National Gallery to see a Vermeer painting. When the young David asked about the other artwork the museum had to offer, his ever-honest mother said, if you want to see those, you can go on your own. It's no surprise that Princess Margaret had an artsy streak, considering she had married one of the country's most sought-after photographers. Together, she and Antony raised a bohemian family, prioritizing art and freedom and keeping around an exciting cast of high society characters for their children to marvel at.
Everybody wanted to breathe the same air as Margaret and Tony.
Although art had an influence on his life, after graduating from Bedales, the princess's oldest child flew the coop and settled down in the southeast market town of Dorking. He opened a shop where he built and designed his own furniture there. With high-profile clients such as Elton John and Valentino, David Linley has made a name for himself in the world of furniture craftsmen. He's since transformed his small Dorking shop into a bespoke furniture and interior design empire, now known as Linley, according to Women's Health. He credits his photographer father, Antony Armstrong Jones, for his success, telling The Telegraph in 2011, "I inherited my love of design from my father, the Earl of Snowdon, who was always fascinated by pushing the boundaries of an object. I was pretty bad at making things as a child, but he was an excellent teacher." Princess Margaret was also a huge supporter of David's pursuits. Looking back on the early days of his Dorking shop, David told Vanity Fair, "I remember my mother came to my first shop, and I went downstairs, and there was my mother sitting on the floor, screwing a screw into the back of a mirror. She was greatly enthusiastic." While David has been a furniture man for most of his adult life, Lady Sarah's career trajectory has been more of an artistic whirlwind. After leaving Bedales, the young noble found work as a wardrobe assistant in the 1983 film Heat and Dust. Hello reports that it was on set where Sarah met her future husband, Daniel Chatto. Eventually, Sarah flitted off to the art world, like her father before her, to make her name as a painter. Under the name Sarah Armstrong Jones, the princess's only daughter began a relationship with the prestigious Redfern Gallery in London's West End in 1994 and has seen her work exhibited there on several occasions. She has also won awards, including the Winsor and Newton Prize in 1988 and the Creswick Landscape Prize in 1990. With 3 of Queen Elizabeth's children undergoing scandalous divorces in the 1990s, the British tabloids have christened the Windsor line with a bit of a royal marriage curse. David also sadly fell victim to the family curse in 2020 when he announced his divorce from his wife Serena Armstrong-Jones after 26 years of marriage, according to Town and Country. At the time, a spokesman for the couple told CNN that the two reached an amicable decision to end their marriage, saying, "The Earl and Countess of Snowdon have amicably agreed that their marriage has come to an end and that they shall be divorced. They ask that the press respect their privacy and that of their family." Despite their rocky union, David and Serena continued to effect a united front for their children, Viscount Linley, Charles Armstrong-Jones, and Lady Margarita Armstrong-Jones, and to raise them out of the spotlight. Unlike her brother and several royals, Sarah and her actor husband are still going strong after 28 years of marriage. Following in her mother's footsteps, David Chatto's commoner status never seemed to bother the low-key Sarah. The couple was married in a quiet ceremony at St. Stephen's, Walbrook Church in July 1994, after almost 10 years of dating. Their wedding guests featured all the usual royal suspects, Hello reports, with standouts being Lady Sarah's aunt, Her Majesty the Queen, and her uncle, the Duke of Edinburgh, as well as her grandmother, the Queen Mother. A teenage Zara Tyndall, then Phillips, served as one of Sarah's bridesmaids. At the time, the wedding made headlines for being the first public outing attended by Prince Charles and Princess Diana following Charles's scandalous interview with Jonathan Dimbleby, where he admitted to having an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles.
Make the whole difference to my life, which would become intolerable otherwise.
Despite the intolerable family drama and the alleged royal curse, Sarah and Daniel remain happily married. While Princess Margaret's children always maintained close ties to their maternal cousins, David and Sarah grew much closer to the Queen following their mother's 2002 death. Sarah, in particular, is said to have been adored by Queen Elizabeth, who frequently allowed her niece to accompany her to her favourite holiday house, Craigowne Lodge in Aberdeenshire. David, for his part, honoured his beloved aunt, Queen Elizabeth, by walking behind her coffin during its procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall. While Princess Margaret's 2 children may remain quietly off the British tabloids' radar, they have found ways to pay tribute to their mother's legacy and honour their place among the royal family. In addition to attending these milestone family events, Sarah has been spotted wearing her mother's statement pearl earrings and her diamond brooch on several occasions, according to Express.